Yeah, first of all, I should say Alex couldn't make it today, so you've just got me, but I have credited her for one of the projects I will be talking about. So my name is Daniel Cubbon. I'm a scientific software engineer at the Met Office. I've been working there just over 3 years now. And for the past year, that has been in the Scalable Climate Services project. So I'm working in a sub-team in that deals with data processing primarily. So I'm going to introduce the work that the project is working towards and my role within that. Okay, so first of all, the motivation behind its existence. At the moment, the Met Office is very good at delivering bespoke services for customers on a one-off basis through consultancy style projects, whether that is a research project or it's directly for an industry customer. They don't typically tend to be scalable. I noticed in the Slido earlier, extendability was lagging far behind all of the other aspects of maintainability, and that's no exception here. But now that we have RSEs or SSEs, as we call them, in place, there's much more opportunity to think about that and scale the benefits of our climate services. So the goal, as I say there, is to build competency and trust in a way that is scalable. And that's the key difference. Thinking more about sustainability. And my role within that is to improve the access to data and build new data sets and tools to use that. The exact methodology that we're going to do that is up in the air, but that is our goal. So to go through an example of a consultancy style project that has developed into something which I would call somewhat scalable. In 2019, we worked with Bristol City Council to develop what we called a city pack of climate information. So that included things like how the frequency of extreme summer days might change in the future, or the effect of sea level rise in the Bristol Channel, things like that city planners might care about. But then other local authorities started coming towards us and saying they wanted a similar set of information. But obviously the way it was originally done was not scalable in any way. So we produced a similar set for those, a few dozen local authorities. But then I think I wasn't working there at the time, but they must have realized, well, we may as well scale this to all local authorities. So that's what happened in 2014. But even then, it still has a limited set of metrics. There's a preset PDF that you get for your local authority. I encourage you to Google this. It's quite cool. You can click on Exeter and see how our climate projections are predicting how things will change in Exeter. But yes, we have a lot of these consultancy projects. And this is one that is going through the process of scaling. And one of my projects was to continue scaling that up to a higher resolution. So it was requested that we get the same information on a much finer grain scale. So I show in the plot here what the average temperature looks like in London if you use data that's at 12-kilometer resolution or at 1 kilometer. Now, for the previous version of this, the 12-kilometer resolution was fine because your local authorities can be quite large. I think one of them covers the entirety of northern Scotland. So, I mean, if you're having climate information that is just for the entirety of northern Scotland, it might not be very useful if you live in a particular coastal village, because most of northern Scotland's mountains. Yes, so to solve this problem, we've increased the resolution and decreased the size of those. But this was a problem because the workflow I was presented with that generated the original data set for this could not cope at all with the 144 times increase in data that was needed. So I started from scratch. So originally, this was all done manually. There was just a set of instructions and README that said do this and then do this and then do this. There was no workflow in place. It took a day to complete, and all of the configuration was hard coded. So like it would only work for those regions and for those variables that you were interested in. So there's almost no scalability there. So this is where I start thinking about how I could improve that at the same time as updating it. So I've redesigned the workflow with Silk, which is a workflow engine used quite a lot at the Met Office. It was designed for weather workflows primarily. And I've chosen that primarily because there is a lot of expertise in the office, even though it may, there may be other options available, because my workflow is acyclic, as in it's just a sequence of steps that go in one direction and don't feed back into themselves. So you can see I've defined a set of steps that I need to make my climate data. This is actually to do something called bias correction, which is somewhat computationally expensive, but can be massively parallelized because you only need to consider a single grid box at a time. So there's massive scope for improvement there. And what Silk does is it helps distribute those tasks on our supercomputer and gives a massive speed up. And another improvement is that I thought about making it data agnostic, even though that wasn't a requirement for the project. And I think that really helps with making things scalable, obviously, because now a new customer can say, well, I want this data over different regions. I want different data sets, and it would still be capable of doing that. Yeah. This is another project that we've been doing. It was given to us by Ofgem, the energy regulator, and they want to explore how climate change is going to affect the resilience of our energy network in the future, and advise the operators on where and how much they should invest based on how much we expect the energy network to degrade into the future. So here we see there's a diagram of all the energy network operators. It's quite interesting that actually Scottish Energy operates in the south of England. That confused me for a very long time. Anyway, that's there. I've already explained that. Yeah, this is largely done by Alex Stanhope, so credit goes to her. So they wanted quantitative figures from us, so actual numbers on how climate variables affect the failure rates of the energy network. So they gave us a data set of where there were faults in the network, what dates they were on, what type the fault was, and how many customers were affected. So we've developed these curves here, which tell you how probable the failure is, for this example, at temperature. So you can see that above back 35 Celsius, it becomes virtually certain that there's going to be a power cut. And we can then apply that to the future climate scenario and then go on from there. But again, this has been made agnostic to your variable and your location. It's not quite agnostic to the input data set yet, but that is in the future. So scaling this, in theory, we could have this applied to any other type of infrastructure that might fail as a result of the weather, for example, with transport as well. Yeah, any piece of physical infrastructure is applicable. And then in the future, we want customers to be able to interact with this in the cloud. But that is very much an ambition that I would, if any of you have any experience with sort of scaling things to the cloud, that would be amazing. So the future work of scalable climate services. So we have tons of these small, specific customers climate services. So we're thinking about how we can make those serve a wider audience and more sectors. And as part of this, we're trying to maximize the compatibility of what we're doing with new data sets, even ones that don't exist yet, because we know that new climate models are going to come and we might have an idea what they look like. We want to build in data provenance and version control. That's not something that's been done very often. It gives customers more transparency. We want to use ZAR. We don't have much experience with that yet, but that will help with making workflows work in the cloud. Yes, to summarize, we're experiencing a much greater demand for climate services. So we need to make these scalable so we don't keep on duplicating efforts and producing products that are ultimately very similar over and over again. And with this, we'll hopefully increase our real world value.